Welcome back, everyone, to the FSL Wild Rift Open 4, where queens are born. This tournament is made possible by Yahoo and Intel. And this time around, Riku, we're now here for the grand finals, and it is down to the last hurrah. It is between Grindsky Eris up against OneSnap Catalyst. And Riku, I'm excited and I'm looking forward to this best of 5 series.
Yeah, absolutely. This is it. BO5 Infinity. And the fact that both of these teams, Grind Sky and OneSnap, they performed really well, especially yesterday, and we've seen their prowess. They're able to get all of these dominating 2-0s, and it's a very big showing on how powerful they are when it comes to Wild Rift. And now this is the biggest test today in the grand finals of the FSL Wild Rift Open 4, and it's BO5. There's a lot of room for adjustments this time around. The meta, the series meta is gonna evolve. Let's see if drafts are gonna be pushed to their limits, because so far, it feels like both OneSnap and Grind Sky have been, I've been very, I wouldn't say comfortable, but there's room enough to be like, all these flashy plays. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have a lot of champions that you can put out, and the story here in the grand finals is not just mere two teams battling it out to try and hoist the championship title. These two teams are defending champions, which is OneSnap Catalyst, which was the former Chuaa, and Grindsky Aries being the SEA Games representatives for the Philippines priorly this year. And on top of all that, there is two former teammates that will be fighting it out. Ayapi prior before is on Chuaa, now on Grindsky Aries. And right now as well, Navis, this is GS Gia, now in OneSnap Catalyst, formerly Grind Sky Aries. So a lot on the line here, and the storyline in this grand finals is amazing.
I know it's gonna be it's gonna be very exciting. Having to evolve from, of course, from your previous team and now evolving in your new team. So there's gonna be a lot of adjustments for sure, and I think there's gonna be it's gonna be very exciting because again, it's a BO5. And there's been a lot of like these roster changes, so we'll see how it's gonna evolve. How does the team dynamic change, and how will these picks? Because on the other hand, we saw AA earlier, who had a phenomenal performance on the Zed, and then yesterday we saw Rogi on her Kale, who had a lot of early game kills and was just really hitting hard as the Kale. She was like just transitioning over to the mid game, and it felt like the late game already. So I think the mid lane is going to be an absolute it's going to be a lane that we're going to be looking into for sure.
Yeah, and I like how you portrayed, having a lot of these champions, having Zed, having Kale, a lot of flexibility, and a lot of champions being seen in the Rift. And that's also something that I'm looking forward to. What will happen in the draft, the picks and bans, how will it show up? Because there is no one team that showed like a very linear pattern sort of formula coming into the FSL Wild Rift Open 4. It's very different, it's very mixed up. And now what will the grand finals look like?
I'm predicting there is a very big possibility we might see 5 games Infinity. There is a very, very big possibility. I can feel it. Honestly. And I think this game 1 is going to be very important to set the tone. Is this going to be like what we saw yesterday, where it was incredibly close? The BO3 reached a full game 3. We get 36-minute games because no team wants to let go. Both defense and offense are in equal forms. And this is also, because this is a BO5, it's a different dynamic versus a BO3, more leeway. But at the same time, your stamina, your mental fortitude will be tested a lot in this series.
Yeah, and it's not impossible to have a Game 5 best of 5 series, because in Wild Rift Open 3, the third iteration of this tournament, we saw a 5-game grand finals, and it was Chuaa who made a complete comeback in the grand finals. They were 2 games behind. It was already match point, but they were still able to come back out.
Yeah, I think that's also a very like a test when it comes to BO5. Like, what happens if you get 2-0 first? How do you maintain your composure to ground yourself, like, and then secure that big 3-0? Because sometimes the big 2-0 I wouldn't say it gets you like, oh my gosh, we need to win this, we need to win. It sort of like affects your mental. So now we'll get to see that also being tested in case we get one of these teams, either Grindsky or OneSnap, get that early 2-0 in this BO5.
Yeah, and even if you get like 2-0, that doesn't really state that, we're gonna win this
Yeah.
immediately, right? Because it also puts on a pressure on you that we're only one game left to get that championship title. We're only one game left to win the whole series. And on top of all that, it may also put you in a deficit because it puts you in a confident state that may produce like a bad outcome or a bad move in the rift. So it's really just a mix of, as you've stated, ideas and thoughts process when it comes to their mental fortitude.
Yeah, it's all about the test, having to test many of these, from the mental state to decision making, strategy, and draft, by the way, is on the way for our very first game here at the grand finals between Grindsky Eris and OneSnap Catalyst.
I'm excited. As we're already speeding all throughout the bans here, Riku. We have Sinjao, Olaf, Senna banned away. And for the side of GS, they banned away Kassadin, Lucian, and Karma.
And these are picks that have been basically picked up by Grindsky Eris in the previous series. Like Kassadin, we saw how Hellgirl was incredibly scary on that pick. And Karma just in general can be flexed with the double support at the bottom lane. Just covers a lot of grounds and covers a lot of melee champions. So now Nasus open! Finally! Earlier it was constantly banned earlier by the previous series. This draft is going very fast, by the way.
Yeah, because I'm thinking you picked out the Nasus, but there's no Senna. So the option was Ashe. But no, GS Ares denies it. They pick up the Ashe, they pick up the Morgana. So what will be left for OneSnap Esports to pick up together with Nasus? It's crazy.
Yeah, these are very fast picks for sure. Now let's focus on, just as you said, Ashe just wanting to deny that away from the Nasus first pick. So there is still that big option. As long as Nasus is paired with someone with decent wave clear, Lux is still open. I think that is going to be a key factor, because imagine if you're up against Morgana and Ashe, that's a very difficult lane to maintain priority, or at least deter turret plates to be taken down early. I want to focus now on this Garen pick. It's just a very tanky lane, a tanky pick so far, and the Kazakhs there for that big late game.
And there you have it, a Gragas third pick for GS Ares. And what my thought process is, Riku, if OneSnap is thinking of going for Nasus, they could have not just banned away Senna. They could have picked it up first pick and they picked Nasus on their second and third. But regardless, the 3 picks has already been secured. We're now jumping into the bans once more. Lux removed by GS Ares.
Remember what we said, Infinity? They need something. They need wave clear paired with the Nasus, unless they're planning to put this Nasus top, maybe. But remember, yesterday Navis had an amazing performance on the Nasus to the point that she had the most damage dealt among the team. So now we'll have to see whether or not that's going to be a top Nasus, that's going to be Jonas or Navis. In the meantime, Jace now getting banged. They need wave clear. They really need wave clear here. Varus is still open for the taking for OneSnap Catalyst, so that is truly an option as well. You can safely wave clear in a very safe range, so I think Varus is the next best thing.
Yeah, we'll see those. They're going to pick it up for themselves. So we have the last ban remaining for this. And just a quick trivia for the viewers watching at home. Navis is GS Gia. The former Grindsky Ares player is now on OneSnap.
We'll see how that goes with the roster changes. If they lock in this Leona and Nautilus.
Leona and Nautilus mixed up. I love it.
It's Nautilus now. And I love this so much because you're not going to want to kill the Nasus. You're not going to want to waste resources on the Garen. You want to eliminate Den. You want to eliminate Kazakhs right off the bat. And there's so much single target CC on the side of Grindsky. Crystalline, Arrow, you've got Dark Binding, and the ult coming from the Nasus. And what we talked about earlier, Varus is the next best thing. You want to pair with the Nasus with a wave clear, because Ashe wave clear, pretty scary.
Yeah, Riku right now is a prophet. Thinking about this draft, prophesizing What will be a great pick? We're seeing Varus come through for OneSnap Catalyst, and now we
No!
have one remaining pick left. And Kale has been seen yesterday, and Rogi performed really well on this specific champion. If they lock it in, they're going for mid-game, late game.
Yeah, this is a big risk because again, red side has that counter pick. They know this is Rogi's Kale, but this time around, who's the mid lane? It is going to be Riven or Gragas. I think it's Gragas. I think Gragas is really good for wave clear, right? I think it's also good for roaming if you want to have a provide CC, if you want to go bot lane, if you want to go top lane. So I think this makes the most sense. And at this point, how do you want to shut down Kale? How do you want to shut down Rogi in the early game? Send an arrow from bot lane to mid lane, and then you flash body slam, and then that's it. That's how you kill Rogi, shut down Rogi while the early game is there. But how does OneSnap get Rogi ahead? Is that to get these early kills, you have these, you have the chain of corruptions as well, but that requires getting priority in the lane, which I think is very possible for Ken.
Yeah, and this is not a worst matchup. This is not the worst mid-lane matchup. And I think what Grindsky Eris is doing, like flexibility with the Morgana and Gragas Flex, because they could interchange this. But considering they had the Kale mid lane for OneSnap Catalyst, they were saying, you know what, let's go Morgana jungle with a faster clear than a Gragas. So pretty much just a lot of utilities for GS Eris to utilize in this game. Number one, and Riku, what can we look forward to in this Game 1 Grand Finals?
Arrows flying left and right. I think on the side of Grindsky Eris, it is most definitely they will send an arrow to the mid lane to get that stun CC with the Gragas Flash Body Slam, and then put Rogi behind on this Kale. Because we saw yesterday, Rogi had a lot of early game kills, so they have to prevent that from happening. AA in the meantime, because of these Assassin's bans, no Zed, one of her best picks here in the FSL Wild Rift Open 4. Now on Gragas, more on the utility side of things, but that doesn't mean she can't assassinate. She has Electrocute. She's gonna carry a lot of burst damage, especially in the early game. So I think it's still very possible with the help of UG Min and possible roam coming from Ayapi. That is a surefire to shut down Rogi in this Kale pick.
Oh, definitely. I mean, AA put on any single champion towards her. He's a very highly mechanical player that can pretty much just utilize everything on her hand. So having a Gragas could definitely work out for this game number one. But going back into the bot lane, as what we've discussed a while ago, Nasus and Varus. They have a clear on waves, but what do you think on a matchup against Ashe and Nautilus for GS Eris?
I really think Ken and Navis shouldn't be too aggressive unless they're confident by whittling down their HP bars, because versus Volley and the arrows coming from Ken, I think they're more on the safe side of things. They're better range. It could be when it comes to the range department. That's why they're getting priority now. So unless they're absolutely sure that they can eliminate UG Min, that's the time they can go in. Let's just say if they're like really close to dying, 1/4 HP already for UG Min, then that's the time that they can confidently, because Enchanted Crystal Arrow plus Nautilus ult is very deadly for Ken. She's immobile. She's very low mobility on the Varus, so she should be careful.
Yeah, and Nasus can't support that.
Yes.
She can't do anything to increase the mobility of Varus as well, so I like how you pointed that out. But
you can weather,
now,
I guess.
Ares,
Wither, but I think
yeah, I mean,
that's not going to be enough.
just if you can't increase the movement speed of your ally, slow down the enemy team, right?
Exactly, that's how you do it. That's the disengagement Nasus. You just scream at them, Wither. Then, okay, go bye.
Advanced strats coming from OneSnap Catalyst. So expectedly, level 5 is something that we need to look out for, as Rika have stated, for Grindsky Eris. And this time around, Rogi, when it comes to level 5, will gain the range up against AA if it comes down. So
exactly,
a better laning phase for her just after. But look at the information. Geo 1, then Nose. So both jungles on top side.
Let's wait for it. Let's look at UG Min right now. Look at the number. It's number 4. Once it turns number 5, and if Rogi is in the middle of the lane, Let's watch out for the arrow. Like, legit watch out for the arrow. I predict arrow hits, flash body slam AA, and into the explosive cast, and then the cast becomes a casket. That's my prediction. Watch level 5.
I love that. We'll see though. Chia 1 is ready to engage
level
the
5.
division coming
Oh
from
no, they're going home.
OneSnap Catalyst. They're playing very safe. They have a ward on enemy jungle.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Even without with the involvement of Chia 1. There's just... They know that the Kale is going to be scary if they leave Rogi alone. But here it is, here it is. AA is coming back to lane. Coming back to lane. Where's the first gank? What's the arrow? What's the arrow?
The arrow is ready. The ultimates are ready.
He did.
We'll
Oh!
see. Chia 1 is there. Oh, the hook will miss.
Okay, Rogi went
No
home.
engage coming through. Another failed engage. Well, not really. His dodge is fantastic for OneSnap Catalyst. But for now, no first blood as of yet. Everyone's playing very, very safe.
Oh!
Here you go.
There it is.
The ultimate already down. Nasus is the target. Nave is down for the count. First blood for GS.
Another CC lock execution, beautifully done. The arrow may not have went to Rogi and everything, but it was the gank from Chia 1 that was phenomenal, and now they get first blood. And it makes sense as well on a AD carry perspective, because UG Min, while we don't really know, Ashe is not a well-known pick when it comes to the carry department, but looking at the composition, when you look at Nasus, when you look at Rogi, who still is not level 15, you look at Jones and Den, it makes so much sense because you volley spam them. They're so slow, they want to run away. No, you don't have disengage, so you just auto attack them, slow them, kill them. So it makes sense with this setup.
So pretty much at this point, a very late game dependency for OneSnap Catalyst. So Grindsky Eris is doing all that they can to have that early game advantage. The first blood to start it all off just a while back, but right now, Mountain Drake, Rift Herald alive. Expectations here when it comes to objective takedowns.
I think Rift Herald is going to be incredibly important. Again, it's not the Infernal Drake, but just as I said, it looks like it's going to be in trade instead. If Grindsky was able to get a pick, they would have gotten Rift Herald. But I feel like Rift Herald is important for Grindsky because it enables Hellbound to get early turret plates, to open up the map, and then take control of blue side jungle, and that's when they can set up for potential kills from the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, not only solely in mid lane, not only for bot lane, but also deep inside the blue side jungle of OneSnap Catalyst.
Absolutely. And I think it's a double-edged sword though. I think Grindsky Eris, yes, they have the Rift Herald, they could get the early lead, but having the Mountain Dragons and giving all these Dragon Balls onto OneSnap is going to be dangerous. And as for now, Monster's already down. Grindsky Eris wants to take this fight. Ultimates onto Jones, have the root, the stun, the CC chain is flawless. That's already a double kill for Chia 1. It's a 2-for-1 trade, but a turret on top of that for GS.
And the Golden Fusion on towards Hellgirl for sure. We talked about that. They managed to get that tower, and this is a good start. Grindsky Eris. Everything is going according to plan. They can open up these side lanes, and then Yuji Min will not only have to focus the arrows on Rogi, but also the side lanes where Hellgirl is going to be split pushing. But I think the issue is that Jonas on the Garen. Garen doesn't really die, and Hellgirl isn't carrying Ignite, more on the defensive point of things. So Jonas, pretty hard to kill for sure.
Definitely, and I think also a consideration here when it comes to the late game for Ken. Remember, in patch 3.4, attack damage scaling increased quite significantly, so Ken will have a better suited time in the late game. Not really that good yet. It's not the best, but it's still good. Right now, as you stated, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow onto Rogi. That's the thing that we're expecting since level 5. When it connected, it's over for Rogi. That's a kill for GS.
And then they can keep doing this, rinse and repeat. They can send Yuji Min in the mid lane. This is a very popular 1-3-1 setup where you just volley spam, you're safe, unless OneSnap is brave to just dive in using Den. But they need Ken's chain of corruption first before anything else, before they can aggressively engage. It won't hit!
The ultimate for Nautilus is already there, looking for that engage. Hellgirl, made of
Whoa!
already casted. Kha'Zix going
Mafia.
in. Garen, the Mashin Justice, pulls down Axe. One man already down. Hellgirl is very
Double
low. with
kill.
Kha'Zix jumping through under the turret. The dive is the cast. And
Woo!
now it's David with the ultimate, just finishing off GES. The cleanup is there. The 4 kills for OneSnap Catalyst to make it back.
I swear, OneSnap team fight. This could be a dive. Hold on. Arrow!
Tier 2 turret and Chatty Crystal arrow to stun onto Navis. That secures the kill onto Rogi. Good trade.
I was about to say, OneSnap's Catalyst team fight is just so good. The fact that, you know, I feel like Grindsky was very confident because, Ken, the chain of corruptions didn't connect. They don't have a very strong CC, teamfight CC anymore. But that didn't stop OneSnap Catalyst to win that fight. Den dove into 3 people, and it was still very good execution because he got a triple kill. And I think that's a very good sign. Yesterday it was Rogi that got early triple kills. This time around, it is Den. It is still the same concept of a late game scaling champion getting early game kills, and this is the best result.
That Den is on the flank on the left side. The knockout is there to delay. Meteor shower might just secure it, but Geo1 still alive with 1 HP. Now Hellgirl comes to the rescue. Just bring Hell into the rift, but so far they have to retreat. They are at a member disadvantage. No kills converted for both.
Nice leap coming from Den to avoid the potential execution from Hellgirl, and now objectives have spawned. They have OneSnap has to take this Rift Herald, has to win this team fight, so that any of the teams can transition to Infernal Break, because they get to potentially get 2 objectives and not trade for 1. This is a very high risk, high reward play, and it seems that Grindsky is winning the positional advantage.
Let's see if they
got
can convert into value, as they got it quick. Grindsky Ares got the Rift Herald that they need. Infernal Drake though will come up at 20 seconds. And when it comes to the level counter, Rogi's already level 10.
Need 5 more levels. And I feel like, Grindsky Eris is on a little bit of this timer. They can't really take their time if they want to win this. The fact that OneSnap Catalyst is just on a 1k gold deficit on the late game, Rogi's going to be insane. Den's going to be insane. The Void Spikes are just going to hurt a lot. And is able to burst all of these squishy members. Take note, only...
Oh, Chain of Corruption on the Geo1.
No follow-up. They got the dragon!
Arrows hurts though, but OneSnap Catalyst just got the Infernal Drake at the hands of Grindsky Ares. They do not know.
Wow.
Then very, very sneaky.
Super sneaky. There was the Isolation Nation coming from Den. And I feel like, even that Scuttler secure coming from Grindsky was absolutely sneakily done. I think OneSnap did an amazing job distracting Grindsky in the mid lane, and therefore they are rewarded. At least it's a 1-1 trade when it comes to objectives. And we'll see where Grindsky executes the Rift Herald to open up, because mid lane is going to be very important for them to open up so that they can at least gain back the map control.
I think they already used it. They used it mid lane just a while back to try and take the Infernal Drake, but they did not go through. They went into mid, hoping for a kill. But at the same time, Den was just sneakily getting the Infernal Drake, so no converted objective for GS.
I thought an arrow was gonna come by. Oh, there it is!
It is! It is!
Boom!
There you go. Yep.
Well, it's on a relatively low cooldown.
Oh, the flash is there. AA has to go back. Explosive pass to disengage. So a flash and an ultimate burned by OneSnap Catalyst against AA.
And once the Enchanted Crystal Arrow is back, that's the time that they can try again. Very difficult, because OneSnap sort of sees this coming, and if they do have QSS enchant, then that's going to make things a bit safer for them in the side lane. So right now they're infusing so much gold onto Rogi, giving away red buff. Oh!
The jungle invade.
Oh, Chia got it!
Ooh.
She got the red
Yeah,
buff.
they got the red buff, but how long will it stay on her head? Because right now she's getting pinned by 4 members of OneSnap as they secure the kill on Chia.
Wow. OneSnap got the red buff back. And that's now on to Ken. We'll see, because there's not a lot of objectives to take, even though Chia is gone. Good thing. No Baron, no Dragon. That's a bit of a risky steal coming from Chia. And OneSnap, she's gonna try to clear waves here.
The tower is there, dealing damage onto Ayapi and Hellgirl, but they're not able to get any kills from both sides. And at this point, Rogi is already at level 12. Infernal Drake, Mountain Drake in their favor as well.
That's the
Very
countdown.
scary team lineup.
They're taking the Baron! Right now, they're spotted. They're spotted
got
though.
red.
I mean, they can do it because they have Varus, they have Rogi.
Yeah.
A lot of these scared auto attack champions.
Oh, just converted that into a third mid lane, and now the explosive pass isolated 2 members from OneSnap Catalyst. Garen is already down. Navis going to be the follow-up. The roots, the CC from Hellgirl will secure that kill.
Whoa!
Down for OneSnap Catalyst.
Wait.
Huge disadvantage into the upcoming fight with Baron already alive as well.
That was a bit spooky. Because it could have ended really scarily for Grindsky. The fact that we see Ken already dealing a huge amount of damage and Den wasn't around. I feel like that could have ended in a different way if Den was present in that fight. Remember, take note, Den was the one that managed to get a lot of these early game kills. But now level 13 onto Rogi. Remember what we said, Infinity. 15 is the lucky number for Rogi on this Kayle, and it's going to be a very difficult time for them to shut her down because of the range, because of how much pain she's going to deal against Grindsky's composition. Especially in a grouped up scenario, it's going to be deadly.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, there isn't a significant lead by Grindsky Eris as well. In fact, they are at a disadvantage in this 15-minute mark. Even level playing field when it comes to gold. A deficit of 2 dragon buffs. Not that great when it comes to this late game look for GS.
Yep. Oh,
Enchanted Crystal Arrow though onto Navis, followed up by Nautilus Ultimate, but the Meteor Shower will just zone away GS.
they're getting painful. They're very painful right now. Now they even get more control over this dragon. And that means they're stacking up all of these dragons. And that's a very telling sign on where Grindsky is right now. You get to see Navis being the person, the meat shield rather, of the Enchanted Crystal Arrow and everything. Because she's very tanky right now. She's a Nasus, just pop ult. She didn't even need to pop ult for the weird. She was pretty tanky. Now, team fight time. It is time for the team fight, Infinity.
Yeah, and OneSnap has this information that Grindsky Eris is on the river Nautilus with the ultimate onto Den. Knockup is there,
No
no
ult
follow
anymore.
up. So no ultimate for Ayapi to utilize in this upcoming team fight, so they have to retreat. They have to go back for a bit and buy space, get time. But then on the flank, going into the backside, Chia 1 is in danger. Goes golden to buy some time here, but AA is already dead. Ayapi to follow.
Wow.
Chia 1, Hellgirl already very, very low. And Grindsky Eris will get aced by OneSnap Catalyst. We've talked about the late game, and we are here. And OneSnap is wreaking havoc in the ring.
Exactly, and the positioning of Grindsky being clumped up together by the river is just prime time for Rogi. They want to end it. They can end it.
They can, but that timer is very long. And OneSnap Catalyst has already put down the inhibitors. They're going on to the Nexus. They're very confident. They're looking to end the grand finals and strike first. And they do, as OneSnap Catalyst secures game 1.
What a game 1. Showing OneSnap showing of their team fight prowess. We've seen it yesterday and now we're seeing it again. It's so incredibly scary how coordinated they are when it comes to their target prioritization, when it comes to positioning, when it comes to baiting out key ults, by the way, to basically make their team fight a more comfortable team fight. They know they were very confident after Nautilus didn't have any ult anymore. They know after the cast has been used, and they know that they can win that fight. No disengage anymore. And I gotta say, Den's positioning at the very end of the fight was just incredible, able to finish off low
Right.
health targets. And Rogi, again, once more, is able to farm comfortably. But till level, it's not the level scary level 15, but it was still a lot of range on Kale with those clumped up targets on from Grindsky in that river.
Yeah, and I like how you portrayed this game one because then fantastic all throughout early game to late game. He was looking for those pickups. He was looking for that positions and angles that can just put Grindsky Eris at a disadvantage. And Rogi all throughout that game was just free farming.
Yeah.
No one's actually denying her in the rift. So at this point in time, she was able to accumulate 13k gold, the most gold out of the whole game despite the lack in kills. So this is pretty much just a good game coming in from OneSnap Catalyst, fitting for a defending champions. And Grindsky Eris just has to pay the price.
Yeah, I feel like, we're seeing contrasting styles right here. The big 5v5s, OneSnap Catalyst is amazing. But the skirmishes, Grindsky, they execute it really, really well. That's why the Ash is right there for that big side lane pressure on the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. You stun someone in the side lanes, and then you finish off a kill, and then make it into a 4v5. You get towers, you get objectives. But unfortunately, OneSnap played the team fights very, very well. They were patient when there were no objectives. They were patient when they were not group S5s, and they were defensive when it mattered the most, and found the right timing when the ults weren't available on the side of Grindsky. And then that's the time they're like, let's go. It's time. We're going to win this 5v5.
Right. And for the next game, now Grindsky Eris is on a conundrum. Should they ban out away the Kale? Should they ban away the Nasus? Like, what will be the steps here to equalize the series? Because right now, OneSnap Catalyst is already on a game lead here in the grand finals.
I know. It's I think we already talked about how it's very important to win the game one, to set the tone, to set momentum, and of course to get that leeway. Like, you have that safety, knowing the fact that you've already won game one.
So we'll see. We'll see. Game one is already over, but the series is not yet. For game two, that will happen later on. But for now, we're going to take a short break. I'm Infinity and this is Riku. Don't go away. Welcome back, everyone, once more to the Wild Rift Open for right now in the grand finals. This tournament is powered by Yahoo and Intel, so shoutouts to our sponsors. But Riku, game one already secured by OneSnap Catalyst. And we'll see if GS is able to equalize this series, as this is a best of 5, one game away for match point for OneSnap.
Yeah, I'm looking at the team fight prowess again of OneSnap Catalyst. It feels very, they're very strong in that aspect, and the fact that they know when to play defensively, they know when an objective hasn't spawned yet, and they know once a dragon's up, a Rift Herald's up, that's the time they can group as 5, and that's how they've been winning these games. And Den and Rogi, like if someone, like at least one of them gets early game kills is enough for them to set up victory for the upcoming fights. And meanwhile, how does Grindsky Eris come back from that game number 1? I think it has something to do with AA. I really think AA needs to be on a champion that has agency to make plays on her own, as we've seen in the Zed, on her Zed plays in the previous series. But the problem is, there's a lot of respect on her Zed already, so it has been banned previously. So I feel like they can pull an RRQ. You know what? It's an RRQ, Infinity.
Ooh.
Pick Zed.
What?
For your very first rotation on red side. Don't wait for it to be banned on the second rotation. Pick Zed immediately. First pick Zed. You just ignore any of the responses, the picks. AA can do it. I feel like it.
You know the first thing that I thought about when you stated
Do an RRQ.
do an RRQ?
What?
Rakan mid lane. Fiorum. Like, these Helios pickups, you know?
True.
But yeah, I get the point, right? Because AA Zed is just insane.
Yes.
It's out of this world. So they could pick it up for themselves, and now they have a very comfortable champion for AA to be able to carry the team or even split push from time and time around in League of Legends Wild Rift. And I think what the video a while ago has stated, we can be our own heroes too. And I think, when it comes to this grand finals, every single player can be that highlight, can be that key role, coming into the grand finals. The question is, what specific champions are you going to do? What are the strategies that you are going to be doing here for game 2?
I think another option would definitely be if Zed's not open, then perhaps the Akali. It's also allows you to make a lot of these flashy plays, a lot of high ceiling when it comes to mechanics. So I think that can be an opportunity as long as there's no Morgana on the opposite side, as long as there's no Karma, because we've seen what happens if you can't hide in a shroud. We've seen how that happens with the tether, is able to spot you out and flush you out of the smoke, basically. So at this point, I feel like just give AA this agency to outplay someone, to be flashy, to use her mechanics, because I feel like it's like really, really amazing, versus the Gragas pick earlier, which is more utility, which is more setting up for the team and being that disengaged. So I'm looking forward to that in the draft later on.
Yeah, and when it comes to the draft as well, I think there's a bit more leeway for Grindsky Esports to pick up the Zed, to pick up something. Because a while ago, we saw Grindsky going onto the red side and Catalyst going blue side. But this time around, it's the opposite way, wherein Grindsky chose blue on game 2. So that could definitely change the pacing of the draft, the bans, the picks could definitely be reflective of that. As we are jumping into the draft, just as we've spoken about.
Let's go. Here we go. Kale! Rogi's Kale is now banned, and Nasus is banned as well. This is the adaptation that we were talking about, Infinity. Coming into game number 2, bans will be different. And bans of the champions that were used in game number 1 is completely banned. They banned Den, Navis, and Rogi. So now it's really going to be a different game.
Full on respect by Grindsky Eris. Nasus of Navis, Kale of Rogi, Kha'Zix of Den removed. And now you have Xin Zhao, Karma, and Olaf banned away by OneSnap Catalyst, and this leaves the Kassadin open for Hellgirl to pick up.
Now the biggest question is if it's going to be an assassin versus assassin answer from the side of OneSnap. I mean, no Kale anymore. Lucian now getting picked up early. So what will be the pair? I mean, Nautilus is still open for the taking if they want something tanky. Because Assassins, one of the answers to Assassins at the early to mid game, it's just play tanky members. The burst will not be enough. We talked about the tethers. We talked about the CCs in the past. The chain CC, Nautilus, Morgana, and Lux. Lux, by the way, is still open. That still can be picked up in the draft later on.
Z2 is open for Grindsky Eris to pick up if ever they want to match up onto an assassin champion in the mid lane for AA.
No.
That is an opening for them, because if they don't, that will definitely be banned away. And now Shyvana, Zed locked in.
There we go. That's what we've been waiting for. All of these resource-hungry champions so far. So Grindsky for the last 2 picks, which is... they're picking in order, by the way. This is support and duo lane now left. This is top lane, jungle, and mid lane picked in order.
Right.
So now they need utility. They need an Ashe, they need the Varus, or they need a Jhin. So anything that can start the fight and CC, because that's what they're lacking right now. Lux is free for the taking, so OneSnap can ban this out because they already have the Morgana. They don't need that big extra CC, so they have to ban something like an Ashe or a Varus on their side.
Yeah, because it can't all be main roles or main casts for Grindsky Eris. You have to have supporting role. You have to have supporting cast for a full-on lineup. And now, Senna, Ashe banned by OneSnap Catalyst, and Braum and Nami banned away by Grindsky Eris. However, Nautilus is still open.
Yeah, they can pick this up. Just that removes the hard, reliable CC that they badly, direly Grindsky needs. And OneSnap is getting everything. Oh, but Galio!
Oh, the Galio!
Samira, please.
Samira?
Please.
This is a very high mechanical champion, though.
Yes, every single pick is very heavy on mechanics. And Samira, they're getting a lot of these resource-heavy champions. And I potentially see why. Because Samira is able to deter these projectiles, at least with her skill too. So removing that. But they're up against champions that can easily stop you mid-ult. That's an Nautilus. One auto attack, then you stop your ult, you cancel your ult. Gragas, in the meantime, will provide CC and that meat shield that they need. And we were looking for the Akali, and there's no tether, no Karma tether, no Soul Shackles tether to smoke her out of this shroud.
And there's no Galio either, as considered as a counter onto Akali in the past. So right now, a very difficult situation, but they have Gragas though to be able to put out Akali when it comes to the Shroud, but a really, really dangerous spot there. So we'll see how this would turn out. A while ago, we were looking for Engage. Now, GS has Gragas.
And I think that is incredibly important on a heavy engage composition from OneSnap. You will expect everybody to jump at you after Nautilus uses the ult, and everybody just dashes forward, right? Everybody dashes forward. So the Gragas is going to be important. Ayapi's explosive cast will be key here to deter aggression.
And to isolate targets as well. Very, very important for Grindsky Eris to be able to do. And I think Zed has a lot of targets. Hellgirl has a lot of targets. These are 3 squishy targets by Grindsky Eris, considering that they have a lot of these assassination champions that can punish OneSnap Catalyst. And that may be the route that they want to take.
This is going to be very spicy because, yeah, you're right. Like, Hellgirl isn't a champion that was extremely effective earlier in their previous series when she was she's on casted in on the top lane, and the fact that she's going up against 2 AP champions rather, with a Morgana and Akali. Shield's going to be effective, Silence is going to be effective, so I'm looking forward to both compositions being extra flashy. By the way, both of these compositions are flashy. I gotta say it again because it's going to be super hype. Mechanics are going to be tested for sure in this game.
Oh, definitely, Riku. I mean, it's a lot on the line here in the grand finals. We're talking about 1,000 Singapore dollars on the prize pool here for the FSL Wild Rift Open 4. We're in the first place, we'll get 550. The second, we'll get 250. Third place, we'll get 125. And fourth place, we'll get 75 SGD. So a lot on the line here for this tournament today. The grand finals, game number 2 is just here. We're now here in the Rift, Riku. We're now here.
We are here, indeed. OneSnap, 1 game away from match point. Grindsky, of course, wants to make it 1-1 to the series to take back that leeway. Much harder to get that reverse sweep for sure. But now they have all the key picks, but very hungry on resources is my concern. They can utilize 131s, but nothing can start a fight without Ayapi. So we're talking about 1v1s, 1v1s. Rogi would be happy to take them on. Jones will be happy to take them on, especially the fact that Hellgirl is up against an AD champion. The shields will not mitigate AP damage because you're up against Jones. So at this point, I can imagine on a 1-3-1 setup later on, they're going to swap, basically. Hellgirl will shadow Rogi for a better fighting chance with the silence and the shields. And AA will go up against Jonas later on with the 1.
Yeah, but we've seen this before, how AA has been able to split push from a couple of times in the prior series in the semifinals, and they could definitely do it once more for a 1v1 setup. But for now, when it comes to the jungles, a very traditional rotation here. But OneSnap Esports going for the bot side clear on the Rift Scuttler, and even on top side as well, as Akali is starting it already, and Shyvana still not even close.
Yeah, the clear coming from Den for sure is incredible. Is much faster, and the fact that when it comes to the ganking power of a Morgana, it's stronger than a Shyvana, and Shyvana most of the time would want to spend time in her own jungle most of the time, just because that's how a Shyvana operates, and the fact that you just need to get it's a farming jungler versus a decently farming jungler plus ganking jungler from Morgana. So I think that's what the early game is going to look like for OneSnap Catalyst. They have more agency to move for early to mid game, but when it comes to late game, they're better.
Yeah, and I like how you mentioned how Shyvana just has to stay put and farm on the jungle, because Shyvana doesn't have mana And that ultimate is not gonna
Charge itself.
go up
Yes.
itself. Yeah. So she has to stay in the jungle, accumulate the right energy to have the ultimate ready.
Right.
So now it's ready. They're going for the dragon form. Navis though have the advantage onto Ayapi. Will not be able to secure that kill.
Zen's here.
Has to dash back away. But then is
Oh!
already here as well. Dark Binding will not connect. But the ultimate is there. Roots onto 2
Okay.
and then
Rogi coming in!
it's a lot of the damage coming
One
from
more.
AA, but
Wow.
Eugene as well is here.
Wow.
Rogi is just punishing the enemy team. That
Is
is
it
a
triple?
clear up from OneSnap Catalyst.
triple!
One by one by one. It's a 4-for-1
And
trade.
Rogi does it again. Remember what happened in the past when she was on a Kayle. Even though it's a late game scaling champion, she manages to get an early triple kill to transcend her Kayle faster. But this time it's an Akali on an assassin. If an assassin snowballs, you just burst someone down so quickly. And that, I feel like, is such an amazing start for Rogi on this Akali.
Yeah. And right now, with Akali having the rift already, a lot of sustain, a lot of damage. That has to be respected in the mid lane. So we'll see how this will turn out though. Because right now, it's a huge gold lead by 1SE. Having 2k gold against Grindsky Eris at 4 minutes into the matchup. But a huge disadvantage.
It's such a huge start for OneSnap. I mean, the fact that top lane, Jones has been getting early game turret plates without the influence of Den. Den has been focusing a lot on her efforts at the bottom portion of the map, and it worked out in their favor. Yet, let's just say Jones is quite low, not winning the trade so far, but getting turret plates, I think that's a pretty sweet deal.
Absolutely. I mean, one turret plate gives you what? 35? 150 gold? Something like that. Something along those lines when it comes to each turret plate. So really massive gold accumulation for Jones in the top lane. But with the resets coming in and with a huge lead for OneSnap Catalyst, this is going to be a piece of cake for the Mountain Drake to be able to be cleared out
Wow.
easily.
AA with the emote too. She's so confident. I mean, Rogi got a triple kill, so I understand. But meanwhile, it's a trade of objectives.
1-for-1 trade, the Rift Herald for Grindsky Eris. What we've seen so far just a while back, and OneSnap Catalyst secured the Mountain Drake, and GS immediately coming right through. Rift Herald spawn top.
But Jen's coming over. Let's see what the eye. Oh, the charge already connected, so the charge is still going to continue. But it's just them evening out the map score because the turret at top side is already about to fall. So still, first turret out for grabs. We'll see now though, because I feel like Grindsky, with their composition, has to slowly wait for Ayapi. And we talked about how this is a very resource-hungry composition. Hellgirl, Chia 1, AA, Yujimin, all four of them, all four carries can make plays, but they will need a lot of these resources. And you can't exactly farm. You can farm Chia's jungle. Chia as a Shyvana will need these farms to transcend basically. So I think there's a little bit of that struggle for sure on how to allocate these resources. Who gets their wave? Who do we funnel our wave to? Especially the fact that Rogi right now very comfortable in the 1v1, not bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, you have the Shroud to be able to just go in and out of those team fights. And as you stated, when it comes to Shyvana, or when it comes to the overall perspective for Grindsky Eris, who really is the carry of his team?
That is the biggest question. I think now it will solely depend who gets far ahead, but on paper, Shyvana needs all of these resources by default because of how she operates, right? So we'll have to see now if they can stall the game enough for them to reach again with where they want to be on this composition.
So are you saying we're reaching the 36 minutes game once again?
Ooh,
Here in the Grand Finals?
Okay, let's take a look at the wave clear. Wave clear is decent with AA and Ayapi. And on the other side, then Tormented Soil. Tormented Soil. And the culling. On paper, yes, you had culling as wave clear. So I think there is a possibility.
Navis, ultimate onto Hellgirl. Helga with a dash away. Yapi's there to support, but OneSnap Catalyst taking down one turret. Already happy with that. They retreat.
Wow.
But right now in the bottom lane, it's a 1v1. Once again, Rogi very comfortable up against AA.
Whoa, fight.
But that fight, explosive gas isolates one target. Now Ken is very low. He has to use the flash to go back away, and now the low wolves in the riverside. It's 3-man down for OneSnap Catalyst as Grindsky Eris equalizes the kill standing.
Incredible work by UG Min with the Inferno trigger, catching a lot of people in that big AoE. Rogi, so brave!
Oh, the body slam onto Rogi, Twilight Shroud. By time when it comes to invisibility here, but Shyvana just deals so much damage, and now that's another kill towards the side of GS Eris.
I believe it was Shutdown Gold as well, going over to Grindsky Eris, and that's that triple kill is exactly what they needed to take back that triple kill away from Rogi. And now with UG Min with the Bloodthirster, that's a lot of sustain with the Devil Inferno later on to be more brave to enter aggressively into these fights.
Yeah, and with that team fight win, UG Min able to buy the Bloodthirster, one of the crucial items for a Samira, due to the fact that Samira is a really squishy champion. With a Bloodthirster, you're now able to be more confident in those team fights.
You can't, and there's a big risk going in. You can easily be stunned, but Rift Herald though, already being secured, to be very careful here. And yes,
Quick and efficient.
very quick and efficient.
Ooh. What's going on here?
Fight!
They're going for the fight in the mid lane. They're going for a full-on aggression as Grindsky Eris is now going to retreat. The stun is there, producing a lot of damage, and Rogi able to punish Chia 1. It's a 1-for-0 trade.
Yeah, I feel like because Grindsky recognizes that UG Min is in a very huge lead right now, they want to take advantage of moments where they can start a fight. Even though they already got the objective, if they can get more, they will. And now, we're seeing UG Min having to position really well in that previous fight. So now we can see take 2 of that Infernal Drake fight as well.
But the disadvantage of starting a dragon or an objective in general will be that you will have your skills on cooldown when a fight occurs. As GS Aries, look at them, their positioning is going through the explosive cast. It's a triple CC. OneSnap Catalyst is in danger. They're stuck beside the Dragon's Pit. And there you go. This is the fight that Grindsky Aries wants. But right now, it's a 2-for-1 trade. And OneSnap Catalyst is on an advantage. GS Aries might get the Infernal Drake, but they lost every single member as OneSnap aces GS.
You know what just happened, Infinity? It was a team fight. It was a team fight, and OneSnap shows up again. The target prioritization, acknowledging that UG Min is the biggest threat in the game, in this particular game right now. Rogi just tunnel visioned on UG Min and eliminated her, eliminated the problem. Once she's down, then boom, you're gonna have a better setup to win that team fight, and that's exactly what happened. As long as she doesn't get, as long as you zone her away and doesn't get S rank so that she'll be able to trigger her ult, then you're fine. Because the ult is the biggest thing that Samira can do to your team.
Wait. Did Dayapi just buy Ixtali Seajar?
Yes!
Oh. Interesting. Because I saw like a Ascarius bloom in the middle of the map. Like, what's going on?
I remember Icons. It was incredibly popular for tanky supports in the bottom lane. As it is very gold efficient. You get a lot of stats. And I heard the calculation was I may be exaggerating. It's like 1,000% gold efficient. Something like that.
1,000?
I could be exaggerating, but it is, bottom line, it is gold efficient. With the stats that you get, with the effects that you get, it is incredibly, it's like the best first item for support types.
Right. I learn new things every day.
Probably not 1,000 gold efficiency, but I could be wrong. But something of a big number. The big number. I'll get back into you for
like,
game
look at
number
this.
3, perhaps. Uh-huh.
Like, Ayapi's just spamming the Ixtali Sieger constantly, time and time again. And on top of all that, in patch 3.4, it's actually buffed up. Instead of planting the seed down for 3 seconds, it's now 1 second. So when it comes to team fight, I think the blast cone will be very crucial if it comes to disengaging as well. So Ixtali Sieger could definitely work out, but this is the first time that we've seen here in FSL Water Flow.
That's true. Yeah. I think having a pocket honey fruit is also very handy. You know, like when you're taking an Elder Drake later or a Baron later. You need more health? Oh, I got you! Chew on these! I've got an extra honey fruit. I took it with me earlier.
Honey fruit on a silver platter. Here
Here
you go!
you go, girl! I got you, fam!
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's cash on delivery though.
Yes,
So.
UD.
You have to pay for food, man!
Fruits are healthy though. We need more fruits.
Right.
Fruits are healthy.
Definitely. Although going back here, look at the Death Rush that one SC
Yeah,
is doing. Ayapi's in danger. She's pinned. That's screwed. Gargle Enchant though,
nice cast.
getting a lot of shield. And now with explosive cast, puts Mavis in a bad position. But look at the backside. It's Rogi tanking all the damage here.
Wow!
Right side,
Colorado.
Ares. The 5-point strike is there. That is inevitable for Grindsky Eris as OneSnap Catalyst just puts down 2 members. Eugene Min, Ayapi is already down, but Rogi's been traded off. Hell Girl will follow suit. And Chia 1 and AA, the only one left standing for GS.
It's a 4v5. It's a 4v5. Remember, because Jonas is busy pushing. AA! Backline!
4 now. AA in the backside, going for the flank. Mavis will miss the route, will miss the CC. And now with AA's positioning, that's a punish coming in from 1SC. And on top of all that, you have the push from Jones in the bottom lane.
And the top lane strikes again. Jones is able to remove the inhibitor tower. And remember, OneSnap, we talked about their strength when it comes to team fights. When it comes to 5v5s, guess what? That was a 4v5. And OneSnap, on paper, still won despite losing Ken, despite losing members off of that fight. I still feel like it's worth it because of the natural lane pressure coming from bot lane means OneSnap can set up for that Baron later on.
And I think Grindsky Ares, from what I've observed in game 1 and game 2, they're constantly getting punished on face checking, right? Face check, you get punished time and time again. So they have to think of a way to get vision instead of putting yourself in danger to just get vision, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it feels like they have to be careful in their own jungle right now. The fact that OneSnap has a lot of map advantage. Hold on. Dragon now being started with
Tier 1 also has a dragon form. Ocean Drake over here.
Oh.
HP. Dragon form coming in. Tier 1 is trying to get it, but once I'm Catalyst secures it. And now the team fight occurs. Zed coming to the backside, looking on Ken. That's a kill for AA. Grindsky Ares has the 1-4-2. 2-4-2 trade. But then OneSnap Catalyst will lose their mid laners. Will have to retreat. It's AA making a lot of things happen, removing crucial targets from 1SC.
But remember, Eugene Min is the most critical member right now of Grindsky Eris. And if you don't kill her right off the bat, then OneSnap will lose the team fight. When it comes to fighting power, when it comes to how everyone's going to be positioned from OneSnap in a team fight scenario, you know they're going to be all clumped up together. In Dragon fights, Pit,
Right.
Eugene Min, Inferno Trigger, that's like the recipe for disaster for OneSnap. So recipe for success for Eugene Min, absolutely.
That works.
Yes, but disaster for OneSnap. So Rogi's job right now is to constantly assassinate Eugene Min. If she doesn't, she's not able to do that, then Grindsky will win the team fight.
Yeah, that's right. Although, OneSnap Catalyst did get the Ocean Drake though. But that's a punish onto Chia 1's being able or removing the debuffs that she could get coming in from these dragons. So, I don't know if it's worth or if it's not.
Looking at the gold lead, it's one of those we take what we can scenarios. Now look at OneSnap, they're starting this Baron. Remember, Pit, Inferno Trigger, they should be careful.
There's a ward. There's
They know.
information that OneSnap Catalyst is going for the Baron Nashor, but they're turning around. OneSnap Catalyst wants to go for kills instead. And they're looking at AA. If they remove AA, that's huge damage removed from GS.
And the response from Grindsky is to just shove the wave in the mid lane. Now they're forced to back away instead. This is absolutely critical. Of course, OneSnap needs to get that 2-0 for that match point. See now? Wow!
Lane, and now Navis flashes, going for the ultimate onto Eugene Min. You talked about Eugene Min's importance. If she's removed, this is a huge chunk that GS is going to lose as well. Look at the flank into the backside. Eugene Min is in danger, but Jones in the middle of the fight. The gargoyle and Jet, just a huge shield, putting a lot of defensive capacity on OneSnap Catalyst. Eugene Min is dead. Ayapi's dead. Chia 1 Hellgirl is also gone. And AA goes golden to buy time, but that's not even enough. OneSnap Catalyst removes Grindsky Eris in the rift.
What a team fight from OneSnap. If they're able to find an opportunity to just bother Eugene Min in the backline, and that's what they get. Rogi diving in, and now they win 2-0 in this series.
And they end it. They're already at match point in the grand finals, and the defending champion once again is looking for another championship title.
What a crazy, crazy game number 2. And you're right, they're looking into back-to-back titles here. And the fact with all of these roster changes, and again, when we summarize everything, it all goes back to Rogi's performance, getting that triple kill, meaning being able to create more of these confident plays, being able to match up against AA in the side lanes, being able to have enough damage to try and assassinate Eugene Min at these team fights and access that backline, because it's going to be solely reliant on her to be able to get into these team fights. And now Eugene Min, we saw her selecting what the proper boot and chance were going to be. She was cycling through Protect, she was cycling through the I believe is the Repulse enchant. It was able to knock people up, because again, her biggest fear is Rogi accessing the backline and reaching her.
Right, and at this point, Riku, we've already seen the Zed. We've seen different compositions from GS. What do they need to do? Because they are on the brink of defeat. They are on a match point already for 1SE. One more loss, it's already over.
I really think they need more utility to hold Rogi down. Because I feel like while Grindsky, there were fights that they were winning. There were fights that Eugene Min was shining like a diamond. But I feel like the resource-heavy composition where Chia just needs all of her farm, needs all of these dragons, reliant on that. AA reliant on having to match up with Rogi and making sure that she's the one that's getting the triple kill, and Eugene Min at the same time as well. So I feel like they need more utility to pick one to be the star, and then they can pour their resources onto that pick, onto that lane. And I think that's going to be incredibly crucial. Like we saw on the side of OneSnap, it's Black Shield time and time again onto Rogi so that she can do her thing. Nautilus for the ult to make sure that Rogi just target locks on that person. So more CC. I think the TLDR. I said a lot of things that more CC on the side of Grindsky, I feel like.
So crowd control, utilities for Grindsky Esports for game number 3. We're looking at UGS. The draft is going to be very important in the next game. But for now, it's already match point for OneSnap Catalyst. 1 game away for the championship title. I'm Infinity, and this is Riku. We're going to take a short break before we go in to the 3rd exciting game. Welcome back, everyone, to the FSL Wild Rift Open for its grand finals. We're already now in game 3. Match point for 1SC, Riku.
I know. It's OneSnap right now is showing a lot of confidence. I feel like they've been very unfazed for the past 2 games, and it has been, you know, Rogi from the Kale getting access to these team fights, and then now Akali, game number 2, getting access to these backlines, and then removing the most scary member from Grindsky Eris, which was Eugene Min on this Samira that had triple kills. Like, wow, Rogi, so such an impressive performance so far in the series.
Yeah, and from game 2, right? What they did is ban every single champion that they saw in game one.
Mm.
But at this point in time, they can't do that. If they ban away the champions that they saw in game one SE gonna pick up the champions that they did in game two. If they ban away the champions that they saw in game two, they're gonna pick up the champions that they have in game one for the side of OneSnap Catalyst. So a lot of things to think about for Grindsky Esports. And as you've talked about before we took a short break, utilities and crowd control is going to be very important in this game 3 for Grindsky.
Yeah, I feel like if they want to shut down Rogi, they gotta get more CC in the bag.
Yeah, and talking about this draft, talking about champions, picks and bans, we're already here, jumping into the draft quickly for game number 3. Sinjao Olaf banned away, Karma Nasus banned by GS.
Now let's take a look at Navis has been performing really well for the past two the Saturday and Sunday on this Nasus. So no questions there. Too tanky, has a really good meat shield. But on the side of OneSnap, removing Olaf and Sinzao, so disengage and early game advantage. So there is a big possibility we might see Den back in the Kazakhs. If this Morgana is the main pickup, then this might potentially be Den again on Black Shield duty, on fast jungle clear duty once more.
Yeah, and Nasus has already been banned. What are the support champions that we will see for Gia this time around? And so far, Morgana for OneSnap, Grindsky picks up Lucian and denies the Shyvana. Or picks up the Shyvana for themselves, rather.
Yeah, this seems to me that Grindsky is going for, okay, we're going to get the Lucian for early game, but this time we're going to pick Shyvana and then make sure that the resources will solely go to her when it comes to the jungle. They're not going to have to battle resources out, so we'll have to see. I think that's the direction that they're going for. And now, though, Rogies, if they do pick this up once more, it is Rogies, Akali. They need more CC. They need Ashe. They need Karma. Karma's out of the picture. Remember when we talked about Infinity? Tethers, the tether mechanics give you vision of a target if it's connected, and especially after. So at this point, there's no answer to that just yet, but I feel like Akali is important here. I mean, not Akali. Yeah. Ashe.
Right. And right now, what we're seeing from Grindsky is a similar draft that they did just a while back. Shyvana, Lucian, Gragas, right? These champions for GS. And now the question is, like, how would this go out for Grindsky Eris? What are the champions that they're gonna pick up for the 4th and 5th? Because at the moment, they're still missing the mid lane, they're still missing the top lane.
In the first game, AA picked up a Gragas, so this still can be flexed on support or in the mid lane. So there's still this big mystery, unless they decide to flex Lucian in the mid lane. Again, there's just too many questions and we have no answers just yet. But we talked about the Ashe being an incredibly important pick. I love the Galio.
Ooh,
no tether.
I love it.
No tether. Yeah. Then you just charge your taunt in the middle of the shroud and try to flush Rogi out in the shroud. This is so good.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about a while ago, right? In game number 2, you have to have something that could counter Rogi. Galio is one of the options, but GS hovered it only during that time. But now it's open, they could pick it up as a counter onto Akali. And OneSnap Catalyst is answering, you know what? We're going for pokes. We're picking up Ezreal.
A lot of burst damage on the side of OneSnap. And meanwhile, Grindsky responds, I love this. Like, let's just go tanky. That's how you counter early to mid game burst damage, is to be a bit more on the tankier side, because shred items will come after, and now they don't exactly have innate skills that can naturally shred them. So Navis now back on Nautilus duty for that big CC that we keep talking about. So that's the hook into the Dark Binding. Double disengage, Infinity!
Yeah, and I'm curious, who's going top lane?
Gragas?
Galio? Gragas? Like, who is it?
I think it's Gragas. And it's going to be a Galio mid. And of course, Shyvana in the jungle, rather. We haven't seen Janna Gragas in a while. And the reason why it was strong in the past, in Year 0 of Wild Rift, because it provided so much safety. This is a very defensive draft. They've got the hero's entrance. They've got explosive cast. They got the monsoon as well and big knockups. So, you know, honestly, if the Galio wasn't there, I would have thought it could have been a Yasuo composition. To be honest, like if it was a Gragas jungle or something, and then Yasuo top and then Galio mid lane, I feel like that would have been a Yasuo draft. But it's more of defensive rather against Rogi, and now Rogi has to do her best to maneuver around this heavy disengaged CC composition from Grindsky.
Yeah, and having to see the locked-in roles, the locked-in champions from both these teams, who should we look at this time around, Riku, for Game 3 of the Grand Finals?
For the side of OneSnap, now match point, 1 game away from taking the Grand Champion title of the FSL Wild Rift Open 4. For me, we have to look at Rogi again. Especially that we know that Den is on the Morgana jungle. Black Shield always whenever Rogi has to go in. On the other side of the spectrum, though, it has been UG Min. Been rising to the occasion from the Samira pick from the series prior. UG Min now has agency to make aggressive plays as a Lucian with the protection of AA, Hellgirl, and Ayapi here on the Janna. Looking at enchanters in this series, happy to see Janna back at it again. This time now, it's Grindsky in, like, backs against the wall. They must win this to continue on for that title.
Yeah, and as they say, if you're back against the wall, break the wall.
Break the wall.
Right. Yeah.
True.
So we'll see if Grindsky Eris is able to do that. So eyes on Rogi, eyes on UG Min here for the Grand Finals game number 3. And so far, a very quiet start for 40 seconds into the game. And I don't know what to expect. A double disengage for GS, as you stated a while ago. Could this be the key for GS Eris for their comeback potential on the series?
It's very highly possible. I think the one weakness that I see right now from OneSnap Catalyst is their wave fear. Ezreal is not known to be a wave fear champion. He's known to struggle in getting priority in the early game because you don't have two shot barrage just yet. You only have the mystic shots. And UG Min being very aggressive here so far, taking every opportunity to poke, to harass rather, and to try to engage whenever possible.
Yeah. It's just that Lucian has one of the most annoying passives
yeah.
when it comes to the ADC pool. Like, you put out a skill, your next auto attack is double. Like,
Yeah,
so annoying.
it's super annoying. It's a lot of damage output, and that's why he is one of the most aggressive, early game champions in Wild Rift for the duo lane. It's like skill pew pew, skill pew pew, skill pew pew, and then you get level 5.
Yeah.
You're like pew 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 pew.
For sure. And I think the question is, like, how does UG Min or how does Lucian in general have unlimited ammo?
That's a good
Like,
question.
how much does that gun have on Lucian's hands?
Maybe it's the power of light from within his heart. Can't believe I said that without stuttering.
Riku! Oh no!
It makes sense, kind of.
I
Kind
mean,
of.
yeah, it does. Although going back right now into the game, a very stale moment for both these teams, but we're already at level 5. So ultimates are ready for majority of the members from both teams here. So expectedly, can we have a gang or team fight occur pretty soon?
No. You know why? Because
Why?
number one,
Uh-huh.
Jones is not on like a Renekton. So Rift Herald control is not exactly a priority. Chia 1 would love to have. Hold
You
on.
know what? They're still forcing it.
Yeah, they
Actually,
are.
the root coming in from Den, from Dark Binding. Navis in the front lines though, taking a lot of hit Now Galio, AA.
Whoa, Chia.
Just this punch. Nautilus with the ultimate as well onto AA, so that's that's CC. But OneSnap Catalyst secures the first blood in this game.
Rogi!
And I'm Rogi jumping with the flash, going for the 5-point strike, securing another kill for the team. And now AA has to retreat. She's very low, but Hellgirl comes into the flank onto the left side, goes for the body slam onto Rogi. That's a punish. So it's a 2-for-1 trade for both teams in favor of 1SC.
I spoke too soon, Infinity, and said no. You know why? Because there's gonna be a trade, but it looks like that's gonna be a no. No, because Chia 1, like on paper, right? Chia 1 would love to have the dragons. That'll be the utmost priority. She doesn't have to worry about a top laner, 4-1 split pusher to accumulate gold because that's just a Garen. The Garen's job in this composition is to not die, be a meat shield. That's the laning phase basically. So right now, curious to see if with Chia 1 now moving, making moves at the top portion of the, alternatively, force a fight in Rift Herald, get Rift Herald, infuse gold onto yourself. Chia 1, again, is on a farming champion. Of course, you would need resources to be at a point where you're very, very scared. So the rotation out Chia 1 indicates that they will go to Rift Herald first, fight there, and then they go Dragon to give Chia 1 as the Shivani.
Right. Dragon is now up. Really important for both these teams at a moment. And I'm curious to see like what the items are at the moment, even the KDAs. Like who got the 2 kills from OneSnap Catalyst? Is it Rogi? Is it someone else? Is it the top? Because if Rogi got the double kill a while ago, the damage is going to be insane.
Oh, it's split.
It's split. But still 1 kill for OneSnap Catalyst. They get the Rift Herald now, so an objective takedown. I think Grindsky Eris is a bit too late because 1SE can now catch up and punish.
Oh, here we go.
Good Jones into the back line. Goes for the sign of Damash and Justice onto Chia 1. So no smite for Grindsky Eris, and this might be a double objective secured by OneSnap Catalyst.
That's an amazing start by OneSnap. Yeah, double start because Chia 1 didn't have any mobility anymore after the dragon form being activated. So this was an opportunity for OneSnap to like, okay, no charge, no jump, let's just go, let's just lock her down, and no jungler, no problem, we'll secure that dragon. And I feel like, yeah, OneSnap, they're the queens of team fighting. I swear, Infinity. They've displayed how powerful they are when it comes to the team fights. So at this point, Grindsky, what can you do? Make it a 4v5 first and then enter into a team fight. But they've showed us in the previous game that they were fine 4v5 because Jonas earlier, she was just split pushing with the Renekton and they still won the big 4v5. So OneSnap, they're incredible.
I mean, they're insane. They're out of this world.
Yep.
That's just fitting of the defending champions for FSL Wild Open 3 as they are the prior champions. So we'll see as how this will turn out. Are they still going to force out team fights? At the moment, it's already a 2k goal lead for OneSnap Cat.
And what are the options now for Grindsky? Because the reason why they picked UG Min's solution here is to be a facilitator of the early to mid game. After the mid game, Lucian will eventually fall off and Chia 1 will take over being the carry. And that is reliant on having to gain farm and gain dragons. So far, it's not exactly the start that Grindsky wants.
UG Min in danger. The root is there, but maybe he's not gonna pull through. Going for the full-on engage. They know that there are 4 members from GS on top side.
This goes. They want that mid lane as well. But they're gonna get it. It's a bit difficult, right? Because we talked about wave clear. Wave clear is so much better for Grindsky. Unless you have Den on your side and you have the Tormented Soul, and that's how you can fight at even terms. We'll see. Now they want this tower dive onto AA. Again, if you tower dive the Galio, sure, you got the taunt. But you have one skill that can help you escape, unless that gets cancelled by Navis. And I feel like Navis is on that big CC duty. Because, again, not a lot of people have CC in this composition. Only Den and Navis. So they have that big pressure to start off these fights. And is it me? Did UG Min has that magic shield earlier? No? Did I see that wrongly, or is that the skin, the Star Guardian skin? Not a magic shield. This is a Star Guardian skin effect.
Not sure. I'm not sure.
We'll see. Because it has the same color as a Banshee's Veil shield, so I got a bit confused. Oh,
Right. Just a bit of a crate, bit of a punch from AA and Rogi in the bottom lane, but as of yet, at the very least, even if Grindsky Eris is falling down behind, UG Min is still not that behind. Individually up against the top gold of OneSnap Catalyst, which is Rogi, I believe, at 6.8, and UG Min is 6.2k gold. Not that far, at the very least.
yeah. Speaking of the gold, it's just a 2k gold deficit. And Grindsky, again, they do have, as long as he is able to farm up his storm, they still can make it and make her a monster, especially when they get the Dragon Slayer. But now with the Rift Herald spawning, we'll see now, because Rift Herald was taken first and it wasn't a trade, OneSnap can do it again, get the Rift Herald, then wait a bit, go to Inferno. And I like this play from Grindsky. Like, might as well, we know that OneSnap is an amazing team fight team. We'll just trade objectives, get control over bottom lane so that we have more space in Inferno.
Right. And now the big question is, when will Grindsky Eris force anything?
Now?
Because they picked up, okay, right now they're going for it. Chia 1 though, flash over the wall, back to safety. Now, going back to my question, because they picked up Janna, they picked up Graga, so expectedly, you're assuming that they picked these champions up for team fights, for a lot of engage, for a lot of disengage, for a lot of heals. But at the moment, I haven't seen a Monsoon from a Yappy in 10 minutes.
There was the one on the dragon fight, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough to save Chia's life. So I think the play on how they can execute is who's gonna deliver AA first into the back line or into the front. It's either Hellgrow or Chia 1 after going into Dragon Form. So that is the sequence of skills. So we'll see if Hellgrow is able to get a good cast.
Alright, because right now OneSnap Catalyst is already going through and trying to contest AA, going through the ultimate as well into that. But Grindsky Eris will secure the Infernal Drake, but Hellgirl is already down. They're all pinned down, and Rogi is just having the life that she wants. Just free hitting onto enemy front lines, and triple kill already for Ken. That's too massive. They may get the Infernal Drake, but they lost 3 members in the process.
Yeah, they managed to get Infernal Drake. That's good news for Chia 1. But Ken, though, we know when an Ezreal gets ahead, there's a ward! Okay, John's fine. But we know when an Ezreal gets ahead in the game, and you're up against, well, relatively squishy members, I suppose. Galio is still pretty tanky, Hellgirl as well. But on paper, True Shot Barrage, once an Ezreal is ahead, it's very painful after a sequence of everything hitting. Mystic Shot, Arcane Shift, everything basically. But the question is, how do you even reach the Ezreal? Because I think that's the kicker. Now that Ken's ahead, all of these Arcane Shifts are gonna reset. You're gonna have a hard time reaching the back line because on paper, this is an anti-Rogi composition. This is to deter Rogi from making any plays. But now that Ken's the ones ahead, this is a different story.
Oh no. Look at Rogi's position. This is a 4-man roam from Grindsky Eris looking to kill her, but...
Sorry. She did the emote, the laughing Malphite emote.
Well, it's all fun and games here, but right now it's very serious for Grindsky Eris. They're looking to go for an engage. Meteor Anchan is there already in the middle of the fight, and now Chia 1 is down. That's 1 member gone for Grindsky, and now it's AA having to run for her life, but the root is there. Phenomenal CC as the double kill will be secured by Ken.
Crazy fight. Again, Ken, no one can reach Ken. Like, yes, Rogi, when she dives in, there's a lot of answers. There's a taunt, there's the cast, everything basically, Ayapi as well. But how about Ken? There is no backline access unless you deliver AA into the backline. Baron now.
Rogi though, he's waiting on the sidelines, waiting to go for the flank. Baron Nashor
You gotta run
will be
away.
retreated by OneSnap Catalyst. They don't want to force this fight.
They don't want to reset the Baron, but it's resetted already.
They are. We'll see. It's a 1v1. Rogi in the backside and Helgirl, but Chia Wan
Yo.
comes to the rescue. Wants to go in and be there. Respond. The flash from Chia Wan to just get back into safety. But look at the mechanic. The Rogi just shuriken flip over the wall to miss and dodge. Dense skill.
They haven't reset it yet. They haven't went home to buy items yet, by the way. I mean, OneSnap.
Not gonna pull through though. They lost Rogi already. That's a 1-for-1 trade. I mean, just a while ago, just a highlight from Rogi, missing out the skills coming in from Grindsky Eris with a shuriken flip, getting the kill still. Just a player to be fearful for.
To the point that, you know, Grindsky had to draft this anti-Rogi composition. You know, the Gragas disengage, Jonna disengage. They had to taunt the magic shield up against Rogi. But now, there's a different problem at hand. Ken. No one can reach Ken. There's always arcane shifting. He's always arcane shifting away. And your options for backline access is not a lot. Because this is more of if Hellgirl is able to... Like, you're torn whether or not to save the explosive cast for disengage, or do you want it to be aggressive and then pull Ken in. But like, Ken has arcane shift for repositioning. She still has flash, by the way.
Yeah. So right now, we're gonna have a fight. Tier 1 goes over the Dragon
That is
Form
so
onto
tanky.
Navis. Navis is already down. But look at the AoE damage coming in from Morgana in the backside, coming in from
Wow,
Den. That's just too much.
legendary.
And Grindsky Eris has lost Hellgirl in the process as support traded for the Baron laner.
Rogi coming in to finish the kill. Once
Rogi
Chia's
going
life.
for cleanup. Shroud onto the backside. Chia 1 is in
What?
danger. That's the 5-point strike going through. The ultimate is there as well, but not gonna be enough as Chia 1 is able to back away and retreat.
But what matters is Ken is still alive. She's legendary at this point. They're able to get another tower down. And the timing is perfect. The top lane, they have more space to work with. 19 seconds on the clock, denying more dragons away from Chia. Chia, no camps left to try and charge up her ultimate dragon form. So you see that's going to take a little bit of time. But now, Grindsky once more has to face this goal deficit, has to face someone which is not Rogi this time around. Rogi's still being a huge headache for Grindsky, but they have a bigger headache in this game number 3. It's Ken.
Yeah. When SE has information, the ward is there, perfectly placed. Now, Grindsky Eris has to be a warrior. Navis
Wow,
already
nice ult!
taking that fight. It's a 3-man knockup coming through. Chia 1 already with a dragon form coming into the fight as well. Tries to turn it around. Jonta is already dead. Grindsky Eris will secure the Mountain Drake. Navis has to flash back away, but Rogi coming back in. They want to take this fight hand in hand, and Hellgirl is very low. Rogi takes that kill, and Navis coming back. Chia 1
Whoa,
has
that's
to
so
flash
low!
back away. Every single one from
Whoa!
DS Ares is 1 HP, and they have to retreat. They have to go back.
Ken has been safe for this True Shot Barrage coming up. Will she attempt a kill? Looks like that's going to be a no. They've pretty much already cleaned up. A 6k gold lead on the side of OneSnap, while Grindsky has managed to secure an objective. But this story is now 80 carry versus 80 carry. Yuji Min is on a rampage, but Ken is legendary. She has been positioning so well in these fights. I wouldn't say not quite untouched, but because everyone's efforts from Grindsky is their mission now is to kill Ken. But so far, her positioning, her patience, her skill shots, not being too greedy to the point that so many members from Grindsky have been low because they keep retreating after getting Mystic shotted by Ken multiple times.
Yeah.
And it's all up to Rogi. If she's alive in an extended team fight, then that would have been disastrous for Grindsky.
Right. And OneSnap's team fights are bulletproof.
Yes.
Like, Grindsky Ares, what can you do at this point to be able to win it? Because one more team fight, this could end the game.
True. They've done it before in game number 2. Now they have Baron to use as bait. There are a lot of vision in the pit and as well as the Rift Scuttler. So now they're just eyeing for the Baron. They are in a very good position to win this game. But of course, comeback is possible for Grindsky because Yuji Min has also garnered her own gold for herself as well. So as long as Yuji Min is alive, and well, you can have a chance to win the team fight.
Jones positioning for a flank, but Hellgirl is there as well, has that information, so a very risky play for both these teams because one wrong move, the Baron could be to the side of Grindsky Eris and they can make it back, equalizing the gold. And if OneSnap wins it, they could end the game. So a lot of on the line at this point in time. They just have the Biwari, but Jones is now in danger. That is Grindsky Eris opening in the loophole up against OneSnap Catalyst. Jones is going back away. And Chio 1 uses up their Dragon Form, follows up with a flash to just catch up. Jones is already down. A member disadvantage for OneSnap Catalyst. And now Rogi just comes back in. But she gets melted right when she enters. She cannot breathe. And now Grindsky Eris has the advantage. They're bringing one by one down. This might be the opening for GS to make it back.
I would have thought that they might get the Baron, but that's 30 seconds on the clock. Jungler's still alive. Now they have to go back. 20 seconds for the Elder Drake to spawn. And now it is the job for Ken to be that gatekeeper. Den to be that gatekeeper. Now they get the scuttler too. Mid lane's still open, by the way. So Grindsky has to work through that first.
The delay should be there, but instead of going for objectives, since there's 3 seconds on the clock for the Elder Drake, they're really prioritizing the turrets to equalize the map control. In fact, have more map control up against OneSnap Catalyst, as that's a tier 2 turret down in the mid lane.
Now they're trying their best to crawl their way back. Like, even though Ken is legendary, Ken still has to hit Hellgirl AA before they can hit UG Min. And Rogi, this anti-Rogi composition has been working out so far. Rogi is having a difficult time finding her targets, especially Eugene is the primary target right now. And now the story of this fight, this team fight. Which AD carry falls first will be the team that falls. Rogi making her way now to the dragon. Elder Drake, whoever gets this Elder Drake will win. Whoever eliminates the AD carry first will win.
Absolutely, but it's going to be difficult. The positions of the AD carries are just too far back, so you have to find a way to gain access onto those backlines.
On paper,
2 objectives up.
Yeah, 2.
Everyone's up. Yeah.
On paper, it is both difficult to attack Yuji Min. It is both difficult to attack Ken as well, because double disengage for the side of Grindsky. Ken very slippery as an Ezreal. Now, Guardian Angel for Ken. No Guardian Angel for Yuji Min. That is the biggest difference. We talked about the win conditions. Whoever gets to kill the AD carry first will win the game. Now Ken has a second life.
Yeah. Right now, once again, Grindsky Eris starting the dragon will not pull through. It is just a dangerous task for every single one. It might be the longest game we've seen in the series so far. 22 minutes into the matchup already. Once again, so you said a while ago, one team fight win would win the whole game.
Scuttler secured now by OneSnap. And mid lane will be crucial, by the way. Because whoever wins this team fight, will someone or the team will potentially go march down. Hellgirl see the top lane.
Yeah.
They're starting it.
There's a member disadvantage for Grindsky Eris. Looking for that OneSnap Catalyst. Starts the Elder Drake, but Hellgirl's already here.
Top lane is
This might be
pushing.
a turnaround, but wanna see. It's pushing indeed. The turret is slowly falling down bit by bit. If that's open, that's natural lane pressure and advantage for 1SE.
It's down.
Don't though. Silences Hellgirl. It's already down in the turret. Gone.
Good to
Rogi in danger. And now it's a fight occurring. Chio 1 in the middle of this fight. It's OneSnap Catalyst in the middle of it all. Ayapi is already gone, and Rogi just assassinating the backlines. This is what we're talking about. The backlines is going to be very important, and OneSnap Catalyst has broken them down. They get the ace, and OneSnap Catalyst, well, Chio 1, I'm being too fast, I'm being too quick. Chio 1's still alive. But there you go.
They want the Nexus.
It.
They want the championship.
Back-to-back
Infinity.
champions, the fourth to hoist the championship title. It's OneSnap Catalyst. winning up against the Grindsky Eris for the grand finals.
What an intense series. The first two matches from OneSnap against Grindsky have been incredibly dominant. And now this game 3 was incredibly close. But game 1 and game 2, Rogi was the headache rather. Was the bane of Grindsky. And now Ken, untouchable, 0 deaths, the MVP, and was legendary. What a crazy, crazy display of teamfight action and teamfight prowess coming from OneSnap.
Yeah, and as you stated, 1T fight, it's over. And 1SE did that phenomenally. And look at the damage of Ken. 51k.
What? That's insane. That is how much damage Ken dealt in these team fights. And I have no words. This is OneSnap's ability to get these 5v5s down, the mechanics of decision making, the way that they focus target, and the way that they execute their composition. Just amazing, amazing skills from OneSnap Catalyst.
Right. And it's back-to-back champions for OneSnap Catalyst on a different name, because priorly it was Chuaa. OneSnap Catalyst brought them in, and you have a change in composition. You have GSGA, or former GSGA, coming to the team as well. And they're just bulletproof. They won 3-0 in the grand finals compared to last season where it was a 5-game grand final. So just phenomenal play coming in from OneSnap Esports.
Yeah, and it just shows how much they've grown as a team, how much they've grown for the entirety of the FSL Wild Rift Open, well, 4 right now, and the previous FSL. So it's very, very incredibly nice to watch their growth as a team, but also their individual growth as well. You know, we've gotten to see this past week in Rogi's amazing execution on the Akali, on Assassin Champions. Her mechanics are flawless. And as well as Kale, her performance on the Kale as well. And now we get Ken, who's able to dish out killer skill shots and damage on this Ezreal for the final game. The game winning, well, game 3 in this best of 5 series. Congratulations to OneSnap Catalyst.
Absolutely fantastic. Still commendable plays from Grindsky Eris, performing to their best here in this series for the grand finals. It's a 3-0 win. So before we actually end, let's look at the brackets. Who's the top 1? Who's top 2? Who's top 3? Who's top 4? So of course, top 1.
What's that?
You have your champions. It's OneSnap Esports Catalyst. For your top 2, you have Grindsky Eris. And for your top 3 and top 4, it is MXH Lotus Ladies, who got the 3rd place, and Sharper Esports, who got the 4th place. So respectively, their prize pool is 550 SGD. For OneSnap, Grindsky got 250 SGD, 135 SGD for MXH Lotus Ladies, and Sharper Esports got 75 SGD.
Yep, so really not only the cash prize, but also getting the glory of being named champions of the FSL Wild Rift Open 4. Crazy, crazy performance. Again, I guess to summarize what we've seen, what we've witnessed from OneSnap Catalyst is that their coordination, 5v5 team fights, and as well as the way that they control the early game to be patient enough to wait for objectives so that they can combine as 5 and fight as a team.
Yeah, I mean, the team fightings alongside with their draft, bulletproof for OneSnap Esports Catalyst. So expecting a lot of things for the future seasons if ever it comes down to it. So really, really amazing stuff for the grand finals, especially here for FSL Wild Rift Open 4. And of course, this would not be possible without Yahoo and Intel. So thank you very much to our sponsors. And Riku, last thoughts or last words before we end our tournament today.
I just want to say that their performance, everybody's performance have been congratulations to OneSnap Catalyst once again. Really amazing performance, and then showing of their biggest strength, which is team fight. And I'm excited to see them more, and excited to see more of the teams as well that engaged in the FSL Wild Rift Open. and now seeing the growth of these teams and these players are very, very inspiring for sure for all women gamers out there.
Yeah, absolutely. FSL Premier Gaming Circuit Tournament organizers. Thank you very much, FSL, of course, for making this tournament as a whole. I'm Infinity. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And this is Riku beside me. We're signing off. And that is your FSL Wild Rift Open 4.